Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm so excited to be here. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host right here,
Eddie Nicholas. Welcome to Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. What up, Adam?
What up, Eddie? I'm so glad to be here. We have a lot of information we want to cover today, and we want to make sure that you stay up to date with the current business news and trends from around the world that we supply to you guys. Every week, we try to bring you something interesting that you can take with you. If you're an artist, if you're a DJ, if you're a producer, or just a music enthusiast, we feel that we want to give you some information as well as some really great music that you can take with you on your journey. And we always help. We like to be helpful to our patrons, our fellow soldiers in this thing we call music.
Because when you are learned and you are helpful to someone, you can help someone else.
That's very true.
So what do you got up for us today, Adam? What are we talking about today?
Well, I was really interested in an article that came out just today in the New York Times. Here in the States, New York State is in the process of fighting the legislature. What they did with the movie industry at the turn of the millennium, they had to do something because the movie industry started to leave the state. So we're talking movie houses and such. They were leaving the state in favor of states like Tennessee and Texas because it became so expensive.
So we're talking about production companies.
Right, we're talking about production houses that wanted to do business in New York, decided to do things elsewhere because it just became too expensive. So in order to combat that, the state legislature proposed a tax credit. And basically, it attracted the movie production houses back again into the state. So they went from from like a low of like several millions to now several billion in 2011. You know, so it was like a huge increase. So now the legislatures they're trying to fight the legislature again in terms of the music business. What they want to do is propose the same kind of tax that they did for the movie industry and apply it to us in music. So that means that if you're a music production house, like we're talking the big recording studios and such, it would help you tremendously to know that you would receive a tax credit for doing business in New York. For example, there was an owner of a recording studio in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. He said, for me to do an album in New York currently, it would cost me, say, $10,000. But in Nashville, that same album would cost me $7,500. And in a state like Texas or in another state, it could cost as low as $4,500 to do that project.
But you know what I wonder, Adam, do they also take into consideration, well, I don't know, I guess with the age of technology, it's just a matter of transferring information. But as far as you're talking about the recording, where it may cost that $10,000 in New York, wouldn't it cost, you know, I'm just saying, musicians, time, and all that type of stuff, you know, sometimes the closeness, even though it may be more expensive, may outweigh the travel, because when you start traveling, you factor in all these other
and when you
things.
consider things like overhead, like the things to keep the lights on and employees paid and such, everything is cost a lot more. You know, so we want to definitely break down more of this tax credit, because I think it might be interesting for us to see how it applies not just in New York but in New Jersey and in other states. You know, when we also come back, we want to talk about social etiquette. If you're someone talking on social networks and you have an account, are you making sure that you communicate in the right way? We're going to talk about that and more here at the Freedom Radio Hour.
Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. Be right back.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, and we're back right here at the Freedom Radio Hour live. Where?
Capital Radio 91.6 FM. I'm Eddie Nicholas.
And I'm Adam Cruz, and we're here talking music, business news, and trends from around the world. Before the break, we were talking about the tax credit that New York State is trying to implement to encourage music production houses to come back to the state to do business. This worked in the movie industry, and they're thinking that it might work in music. So I wanted to ask you, I know that we don't necessarily, we have a small outfit here at Ebb and Flow Studios. This is where we do our show every week. So the costs are nominal. But for a huge outfit, I think it would be really advantageous for you and all of us, you know, to look into different avenues. How many times you see a movie that's taken or being filmed in, say, like Toronto or somewhere, that you know it's much cheaper to do that same kind of set over there than in New York, even though it's taking place in New York.
Well, you know, being from Montclair, and with the next suburb, Glen Ridge back, there's a lot of filming done in that area.
Right. We're talking New Jersey here in the States. In New Jersey, the suburbs becomes really attractive for movie houses to do films and such. The other day, I just a street in Montclair was closed off because they were filming something.
Now, I don't know how much, but I know Montclair gets a cute little penny.
Right, and because it becomes advantageous. You know, but there are opponents to this tax bill. It's not everybody's jumping on board that it's great. For example, there's an economist out of the Tax Foundation that was saying when you do or implement an industry-specific tax credit, it becomes non-neutral. Let me say that again.
Now, what do we mean by non-neutral?
In order to do tax credit, you want to do things in a neutral way so that it affects different industries in the same way. But because it's industry specific, it becomes non-neutral.
Okay.
And what it does is somebody's got to pay for this. So this economist is arguing that when you do this, other industries that are not looked upon favorably at that moment to get the credit, they have to foot the bill. So we want to hear about this and all that you have to say. Visit freedomradiohour.com for all the latest and greatest that we're talking about, but also just leave a comment under everything that we're posting and sound off, because we are always eager to hear what you guys, the listener and the viewers, have to say about everything that we're talking about. But the second thing I really wanted to talk about was this social etiquette. Have you ever heard of such a thing? I'm not talking about like the dinner napkin laid gently in the lap type of etiquette. I'm talking about like when you're engaging in social networks. What do you have? Are you signed up with various accounts?
Well, Facebook, Twitter, Yahoo, YouTube. I'm looking at Vimeo. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Vimeo, yeah. I think it's like another YouTube, right?
That's like another YouTube.
Yeah. So
and my defunct MySpace page, which I really need to go back and revisit. MySpace, I still love you.
You know what's so funny? Shout out to Glenn Thornton. Glenn Thornton out of Slag Records here in New Jersey. He and I were talking the other night, and he was just saying how he reactivated his MySpace page by putting up his newest album and such. So we giggled about that because it's become quickly this passe thing, but now more recently it's become more music and artist friendly. So maybe you'll start seeing more of this activity going back to MySpace, you know. But anyway, so I wanted to just talk briefly about what social etiquette really is. There's a fantastic PR firm. They're out of New York. They're called Ariel. And what they basically were doing, you better turn off your phone. How about Eddie Nicholas has the phone on while we're talking here at the Freedom Radio Hour? Here we're talking about social etiquette. Turn off your phone. No, but what we're really talking about is this fabulous PR firm named Ariel Publicity. They basically came out with a food pyramid type thing where they talk about manners regarding etiquette. You know, there's the basic things, like when you talk on online and such, you don't want to talk in all caps, right? Because if you talk in all caps, what does that mean? You're probably...
Well, it probably means you're shouting, but you know, for those of us that can't see that, words typed in caps help.
That's true. We're going to break it down further and let you know all the rules so you can stay up to date right here at the Freedom Radio Hour. Where?
Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. This is your boy, your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and my fantastic and funny co-host,
Eddie Nicholas, Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
We're having a great time here at the Freedom Radio Hour, giving you the latest in music, business news, and trends from around the world. We're talking social etiquette over the internet, specifically if you have any social media accounts like Twitter or Facebook or Tumblr or blogs or anything like that. There's the basic stuff that we kind of all know, which is if you're typing all in caps, for example, that generally means you're shouting, so you don't want to do that unless you intend to come across as if you're shouting, which might be appropriate sometimes. But you don't want to do that all the time because it's annoying. The other thing is that there are more specific things, like especially if you're an artist, if you have like a piece of poetry or a new music track or a new mix, if you're a DJ, the last thing you want to do is bombard your pages with your stuff all the time. What happens when you start getting folks that you know are posting their stuff all the time? I'm talking incessant posting off their tracks. What do?
There's a nice little button called delete or untag. Untagging is the nice way to do it, where your name remains, but it just vanishes from your page.
Right. Yeah, I choose to unfollow if a person gets over the top of it. And that's a bad thing for your brand, because you want to be able to attract a larger fan base, say if you're a singer or a DJ. You don't want to shoot people away, so maybe you ought to pay attention to this segment right now. So just like a food pyramid, this PR firm, Ariel PR firm, they basically, what they did is they created a food pyramid and talked about the etiquette. So they're saying group 1 is this.
Now, what's the name of the company? You said Ariel, didn't you? Kind of like faded out.
Yeah,
What, you went blank?
I know. I totally went blank. Maybe I'm flubbing the social etiquette here by not properly saying their name. They're a digital PR firm based out of New York City. They're called Ariel Publicity.
There we go.
And what they did was they did a video and an article that converted the food pyramid, you know, the basic food groups, and they made them into social etiquette rules, if you will. So group 1 is direct engagement. That's a fancy way of saying just you going back and forth. When you're a person of, like Eddie and I have a lot of music out, you want to engage your fans and just your people. They have a question about a song. If they just want to, you posted something and they responded, it's etiquette says that you should like or comment and engage
Give
with
them
that.
a response back.
Yeah, because
let them know that you're paying attention.
Exactly, and they also feel like they have a personal touch with you, a personal connection with you. Even though you're this artist doing all this music, they felt like they had a connection with you at that moment. So that's group 1. Group 2 is to shine a light on others. So in order to really do this properly, you should find a way to not only highlight your latest track, but highlight other people's track, or maybe highlight an article you came across, or maybe highlight the Freedom Radio Hour episodes. Or maybe
wings.
Yeah. Or maybe you can just find anything that you found interesting that you can share. So you're shining a light on others. It could be somebody else's project or what have you. Definitely consider that. Group 3 is called curating content. That's basically a nice rhythm of about 10 posts where you just curate different ideas. Eddie is very famous for sharing when he's watching a classic movie, an old black and white film, and he'll talk about not just that he's watching it, but he'll share information about the film, or sometimes even the actresses. Like one time he was referencing an old black and white film, and he talked about the protagonist and the antagonist in the film. In real life, they hated each other because one slept with the other's man.
Yes.
And so what Eddie's
Betty
doing,
Davis.
yes. So what Eddie was doing was not just a direct engagement, but he was also creating content, curating content that
piquing one's interest.
Right, and so he was taking it a step further than just to say I'm watching something. So that's part of what you do when you curate content. So that was group 3. Group 4 is a picture says 1,000 words. Sometimes, you know how it's become really popular to post a picture with words in it? That's another way of sharing information. So Eddie's very good at taking photographs at most of the events that he attends, and afterwards he will upload it, and so you could see the albums that he shares with everyone of the event. So various pictures, and it's a great way to share, especially like me. I'm a dad with little ones, and I don't get to go out a lot. So I feel like I went to the event.
We get to live vicariously through others.
Yes, exactly, especially through my man right here, Eddie Nicholas, you know? So that's our group 4, pictures. And then finally, group 5 is shining a light on yourself. That's when it's finally okay to talk about, check out my new track. But what we were learning, and Eddie and I have been trying this out, instead of saying, buy this, and provide the link, because people know what to do when they see the link, you should talk about something regarding the project, how you recorded it, the storyline behind the song, lyrical, any sort of lyrical content, anything interesting, just like we referenced the black and white film that he was talking about. Do the same thing with your songs or your poetry or your movie or whatever you're promoting, and it creates a better sense of a personal touch than if you just say, buy the tracks out, go buy it, because oftentimes what happens, it gets ignored.
It gets ignored.
You know, so that's something that's really important to say. So we definitely took the time to put both the article and the video of this food pyramid, the social etiquette pyramid, on our website. So definitely check out freedomradiohour.com. And when we come back, we're going to tie this up and give you a sneak preview of what to expect in future episodes right here of the Freedom Radio Hour.
Thank you for joining us at Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. Back in a moment.
Freedom Radio Hour.
All right, everybody, we're just so grateful that you've taken the time out to enjoy us here at the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I have my co-host,
Eddie Nicholas, and welcome back to Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. Where are we going from here, Adam? Because I think it's about time we start wrapping it up.
Yes, I wanted to just tie up what we were talking about. In a nutshell, when you're out there talking on social media, or you have a blog or a Twitter or whatever, take time to do things carefully. Just don't barrage people with the information. Take the time and think about it. Develop a strategy for yourself that communicates not just what you're doing, the interests that you're into, and others in your community that will help you. Because guess what? If you highlight them, they'll do what?
Highlight you. And spell check, spell check, spell check, spell check.
Exactly. And try to keep it light as much as possible. Talk about some personal things, yes, but don't go deep because we don't want to know all your business.
No, not at all.
So, yeah, so that's kind of the basic things of what we're talking about. The other piece, of course, about the tax credit, hit us up at freedomradiohour.com and leave a comment under everything we're posting and let us know. Do you think that this tax credit should be applied at every state, like in New Jersey?
Yeah, because I'm searching for my tax credit. I don't know where it is, but I want one.
Yes, exactly right. And next time, we're going to do a workshop on music publishing. If you want to know about sync licensing, mechanical royalties, and everything around music publishing, make sure you tune in next time to episode 6 of Freedom Radio Hour. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz.
And I'm Eddie Nicholas, and thank you once again for joining us at Capital Radio 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan. Boom, 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 boom.
Peace.